Hello everyone, welcome to your EVS class. Let's start with chapter 2 of your EVS book, and that is human dependence on environment. Now this chapter I'm sharing here. You can see on your screen. This is chapter 2, human dependence on environment. Human beings are the most developed and brainy creatures on this earth. Because of their brain, human beings have reached from the nomadic life to today's life, which is full of comforts and luxuries, right? Though human beings, they are well developed, but they are dependent on plants and animals, right? So this thing we will study how they are dependent on environment, or you can say on plants and animals, right? Let's start with this chapter. There are various ways in which plants and animals depend upon each other. Now, plants and animals, they also depend on each other for some or the other thing. Human beings are the most developed beings in the animal kingdom. Man is also known as social animal. They also depend upon their environment for most of their needs. Now we are able to produce many new things because of technology, because of science, but we are dependent on environment or plants and animals. Without them, we cannot do anything. Human dependence on plants. Now, how human being is dependent on plants. First is food. For food, we are totally dependent on plants. Plants are the basic source of food. Men get cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits, oil, and spices from plants. So all the eatables we get from the plants. Vegetarian food, we call it. Plants are able to produce their own food. For food, animals as well as human beings, we are totally dependent on plants. Same way, plants are also dependent on animals or human beings for other things. For their water purpose, for their nutrition purpose, plants are dependent on animals. They produce their food, so they are known as producers or autotrophs. And animals and human beings are dependent on plants for the food. We get different items, which is written here: fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, spices, many other things we get from plants as food. Now, next thing which we get from plants, that is clothes. We directly don't get clothes from the plants, but indirectly. Now, how is that? Fibers used to make cloth such as cotton, linen, jute, etc. are also plant products. Now, for making cloth material, we need fibers, and that fiber comes from plants only. Like cotton, linen, jute, we get from these plants. So we are dependent on plants for clothes also. Without plants, production of clothes is also not possible. Next, wood. Wood used for making houses, furniture, and for fuel also comes from plant. We need wood for different things. For making houses, we need wood. For making furnitures in the houses, we need wood there. For fuel purpose, for burning purpose, we need wood. In villages, people, they use wood for burning purpose so that they can cook food there. The tribal people, they use wood as fuel. In cities, we use cylinders there, LPG there, but the tribal people or in villages also, or remote villages, they use wood for fuel. Next one is medicines. Plants provide us with a number of medicines. For example, quinine for malaria is from the bark of cinchona tree. Now this is allopathic medicine. Quinine, which is for the cure of malaria, that is also taken from the plants and it comes from the bark of cinchona tree. Cinchona is the name of a tree. The bark of that tree is used to make this medicine quinine. Also, tulsi, amla, etc. are plants for medicinal use. Now, there are a number of plants and they are known for their medicinal use. Like tulsi, we use for different purposes. Amla there, neem also there. So they are good medicines for us, or they are used as medicine by human beings. Next one, paper, gum, and dyes are also obtained from plants. The paper which we use, the gum which we use, the dyes which we use to color the clothes, all these things are obtained from plants only. Plants provide us with oxygen, which is vital for breathing. The most important thing which we get from plants is oxygen, which is very, very necessary for our survival on this earth. Without oxygen, we cannot exist on this earth. So that oxygen which we breathe in, that comes from the plants. Without that, we cannot survive on this earth. So we are totally dependent on plants. Some plants are used for beautifying our surroundings. It's this side. These are called ornamental plants. Now, some plants we grow just to beautify our nearby areas, to make that area beautiful because of the flowers there. And such plants, they are known as ornamental plants because they decorate our area. They beautify our area. That's why they are known as ornamental plants. Example, money plant and China rose. These are two examples given there of ornamental plants. So these are the things which we obtain from plants: food, clothes, wood, medicines, paper, gum, dyes, and ornamental plants, which beautify our earth. That's why we need to grow more and more trees or plants. We should not cut trees or plants because we are dependent on plants or the trees. We need to save them. Next is human dependence on animals. Now, how human beings, they are dependent on animals. First, again, the same thing, food. Animals provide us with a variety of food products such as meat, eggs, fish, milk, curd. So we are dependent for food also, for non-vegetarian food that we get from animals, from plants, what we get, that is vegetarian one. And for dairy products also, we are dependent on animals. We get milk from animals. From milk, we make cheese, curd. So these are dairy products. For that thing, we are dependent on animals. Here is a picture given there. Asian water buffalo is the most common source of milk in India. So people, they rear Asian water buffalo. And for what purpose? Because they get milk from these buffaloes. Now, next part. Next, again, clothes there. Clothes or the fibers which is used to make clothes, we get from plants also and from animals also. Now from plants, that is cotton, jute, linen. Now from animals, how we get? Let's read. Animals provide us with material from which we can make clothes. Again, they provide or they give us some materials, and from that material, we can make clothes, or from that fiber, we can make clothes. For example, silk is obtained from silkworm, and wool is obtained from sheep. This is an example given there, that silk we get from the animal, that is silkworm, and wool we get from another animal, that is sheep. Silk and wool both are used to make our clothes. Silk sarees, wool for making woolen clothes. Next we have, you can see in the picture, cocoons of silkworm. These are the cocoons, silkworm there, and from them we get silk. There is a proper process of obtaining silk from these cocoons of silkworm. Next, we have medicines. Same thing we get from plants, and same thing we are getting from the animals also. Let's see how. Many medicines are obtained from animals, especially microorganisms. We get from animals, but main is the microorganisms. Now, how? One example is given there. For example, penicillin is obtained from a fungus. This medicine is made from a fungus. And streptomycin is obtained from a bacteria. And this medicine, streptomycin, is made from a bacteria. So these are the things which we get as medicines from the animals. Now, next you have a picture here. Some medicines are obtained from bacteria, pictures of bacteria here, and some, here we have only one example, but some more medicines, they are obtained or made from these bacteria. Now, next part we have transportation. Many animals like horses, bulls, donkeys, camels, etc. are used in carts and for carrying loads. For carrying loads, that means for taking things from one place to another, or from moving from one place to another, we need, or human beings, they need animals like horses, bulls, cows, donkeys, camels to move from one place to another place. They use them in their carts and they move or they go from one place to another place. In cities, so we have vehicles there. We don't use such things, but in villages, you can see these carts carried by animals. Here is a picture. Animals are used for transportation. This is a bullock cart. You can see is used in villages mostly. Now, next thing. Yeah, this is fifth point, agriculture. Some animals like buffaloes, oxen, and camels are used for plowing fields in rural areas. These animals are used for transportation also, but they are used for agriculture purpose also. In the fields, in farms, they are used for the plowing purpose. And there also they are used for transportation. It's given in the picture. Animals are often used in agriculture in various countries. Nowadays, we have other vehicles also, but still animals are used for one or the other purpose in farming. Now, next part. Human dependence on non-living environment. Human beings, they are dependent on plants and animals. Now, these are living organisms, or human beings dependent on the living environment. Now, that is known as biotic, and this non-living, they are known as abiotic. Now, let's read first one. Energy. To meet his requirement of energy, man makes use of various environmental resources. Traditionally, man has been dependent on fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, and natural gas. That is the traditional method. However, these are limited and will be exhausted one day. But these fossil fuels, they are in limited amount, and one day they are going to finish. So we need to use them very judiciously, very carefully, so that in future also we can use them. So man has developed alternative sources of energy based on sun, wind, and water. So traditionally, fossil fuels were used, but they are in limited amounts. So we cannot use them as much as we can. We need to limitize it. So man has developed another source of energy using sun, wind, and water, which is unlimited there. Okay? For energy purpose, we are dependent on these non-living things like coal, petroleum, sun, wind, water. One is in limited amount and other is in unlimited amount. So energy we get in the form of electricity and some other form. Next, we have soil. Human beings have used this source to the maximum for agriculture and for getting building material like wood, bricks, etc. Now, main purpose or main use of soil is in agriculture. for farming purpose, for agriculture purpose, soil is needed. Farmers, they grow crops from the soil which we use as food. So that way we are totally dependent on soil. Without soil, that is not at all possible. What are the other uses now? For building material like wood, bricks. Bricks made from the sand, wood from the plants which we grow because of the soil. So that way we are dependent on soil for all these purposes, for agriculture, for building materials, and many other purposes. Next, we have water here. This is other abiotic element. Water is used for drinking, bathing, irrigation, producing electricity, transport, etc. Now, how we are using water for the drinking purpose, for bathing thing, and irrigation. Irrigation means providing water to the crops or in the field area, or using water during farming. That is known as irrigation. Without water, we cannot produce any kind of crops. Producing electricity. Electricity is produced using water. Transportation, we go from one place to another using ships or boats. So that way we need water. Water is a source on which man depends mostly. So we are totally dependent on water for our existence. One is oxygen is very much important, and next thing is water. That is very much important for the survival on this earth of human beings and animals also, and as well as plants also. So we all need water. So we all are dependent on water for our survival or for our existence on this earth, right? So these are the things how we are dependent on the environment, biotic also, and abiotic environment also. I hope you have understood. Remaining part will do tomorrow. So with this, we have come to the end of today's class. That's all for today. See you tomorrow. Till then, goodbye and take care.